Hello, I'm Masa Kittel. Welcome to the Cycling Day.
How does a rider with a VO2 Max score higher than Greg LeMond, Miguel Indurain, Chris Froome and even Lance Armstrong not succeed in the sport of cycling? That is the question today. What the happened to Oskar Svendsen, Norway's prodigy of cycling? Oskar Svendsen is a name maybe not familiar to cycling fans of 2022, but back in August of 2012, when a certain Bradley Wiggins was busy winning the Tour de France and the Olympic time trial gold at the Olympics, an ambitious Norwegian cyclist was tested in a lab in the University of Lillehammer in Norway. The test included lactic threshold efficiency and the coveted VO2 max measurements. To the astonishment of the scientists, Svendsen's VO2 max score had eclipsed the highest value ever recorded at 96.7 milliliters per kilo per minute. VO2 max is seen as a measure of aerobic capacity and essentially how quick your lungs, heart and muscles can process oxygen, and it is synonymous with aerobic fitness. Typically, the average VO2 max score for a Tour de France professional will be somewhere in the region of 70 to 80 milliliters of oxygen per kilogram per minute, and the Tour de France legends of Greg LeMond, Miguel Indurain and Chris Froome scored 92.5 for Greg LeMond, 88 for Miguel Indurain and 84.6 for Chris Froome. And this essentially shows just how incredible Svendsen's aerobic capability was with a score of 96.7. In the greatest VO2 max scores ever recorded, plenty of them are cross-country skiers from Norway as well. So it just shows that cross-country skiing linked with cycling could potentially be that secret ingredient to a high VO2 max score. But back to Oskar Svendsen. Oskar Svendsen demonstrated this supreme aerobic ability at the World Championships in the 2012 edition in Valkenburg, winning the junior time trial title by 7 seconds in front of Matej Mohoric and 12 seconds ahead of Maximilian Schachmann. And in that field, Schachmann and Matej Mohoric were not the only future World Tour pros beaten on the day by this very impressive Norwegian. In 2013, Svendsen rode with the continental team Joker Merida, and he didn't have anything to write home about really that season. However, it was his first year at the under-23 category and he went to the Tour de l'Avenir, or as it's also known, the under-23 Tour de France, at an age of only 19 years old. After battling in the mountains with no real time trial stages in that year's edition, Svendsen managed to finish 5th overall, which was very impressive. As mentioned, it was his first year in the under-23 category. He was behind Ruben Fernandez, Adam Yates and Patrick Conrad, all of whom went on to the World Tour later. And crucially, once again, he also beat plenty of other big names of today's World Tour field in that race, notably Julian Philippe. Unfortunately, at the end of the season, Svendsen was not participating in the under-23 World Championship time trial, but he did continue for another season with the Norwegian continental team. In the 2014 season, he managed to finish 4th in the National Elite Time Trial Championships in Norway, but he didn't achieve the biggest results, and in the Tour de l'Avenir, it wasn't the same as the year before, as he ultimately finished 71st overall. Later in 2014, Oskar decided to take a break from professional cycling, and after 15 months without formal training, only a few runs a week, Svendsen was still able to produce a VO2 max score of 77 milliliters per kilo per minute, strikingly close to 74.6, which was actually the VO2 max score he had the first time he showed up to the lab. But nevertheless, it seemed like he did unfortunately retire after that break turned into a permanency, and in the end the tale of Oskar Svendsen's story is that physiology isn't the destiny of any rider. His numbers show that it's not just about the aerodynamic capacity, it's also about the tactical nous and the mental ability as well. And in Oskar's own words, he reiterated this point, saying that the talent is in the head after all, and shortly after quitting, and that's what you can create for yourself. The physical is just a bonus. But the whole Oskar Svendsen ordeal does make you think. Imagine if he was a junior world champion today, maybe his path would be different, as plenty of World Tour teams have snapped up juniors let's not forget Remco Evenepoel, and skipped on the 23 stage. So potentially he could have done something more in his cycling career, but this might be the biggest super talent coming out of Norway that didn't deliver on his potential, but he will always be in the history books for his incredible VO2 Max score. That's basically it for this video. What the fuck happened to Oskar Svendsen? Make sure to check out some of our other WTF videos about other riders, and check out our website www.thecyclingdane.com for more interesting things about cycling. And of course, as always, subscribe to the channel and have a nice day.